Welcome, everyone. This is the Main Street Moments Podcast. I'm Brian.
And I'm Kathy.
Well, lots of things are going on that we're going to talk about on this episode. We're going to start talking about one of our favorite vloggers, who's also, strangely enough to me, also one of the most, we found out after a previous show, one of the most controversial vloggers, and I'm not exactly sure why, and that's Michael K.
Mm-hmm.
And we talked about Michael K. as a couple months ago, and Michael K. just, he didn't look like he was doing too well for a while. I mean, he was having a tough time. Looked like his channel was concerning him a little bit. He didn't look like he was taking very good care of himself, like he was going through a bit of a vlogger depression. And we were talking about...
We don't know what was going on in his life.
I said look like. Yeah,
right.
I don't know.
But we're not the only... Other people were commenting on it.
Yeah.
Not just us. And we were, just curious.
And we had said that, we'd asked a question. Has Michael K. lost his love and his passion for Disney? Mm-hmm. And, of course, Michael K. moved to Florida from Maryland for Disney. And we were wondering if he was burned out on that.
Which can happen.
And let me tell you, we got so much feedback on that podcast episode. And what really shocked me, and I don't understand this at all, there are a lot of people that do not like Michael K. I mean, they don't like Michael K. with a passion.
He's divisive.
Why?
And I think the trackers are the same way.
Why?
You either love them or you hate them. There's really not a middle ground. You know what I mean? People aren't lukewarm. It's very black and white with the vloggers, I think.
Sometimes there's somebody that's like a controversial figure or they do something. But Michael K., now we don't know Michael K. personally. We've met him multiple times. I've met Michael K. in the parks 3 or 4 times. Kathy and I together were together
I've
2
met
of those
twice.
times.
Yeah, he's very nice.
And he's a nice guy. And
our daughter met him.
Yeah, our daughter. And he's very nice. He's very pleasant. And a nice guy. Yeah. And I don't care for him vlogging with his brother too much, I must tell you. I like when Michael K's off on his own.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of Dave. He's a little strange.
But we did a very detailed podcast that got just unbelievable amounts of feedback on it. And what our hope is that we could help Michael K. because I do think he was getting burned out on Disney. And I have noticed, and I think Kathy will agree with this, and you guys that are listeners, let us know in the comments what you think about this. But I've noticed in the last few weeks that Michael K. is completely recharged and he has gotten his vlog back.
I think so too. I feel like people go through different periods and we could be totally wrong. We're just going by what we saw in the vlogs. And it seemed like he was kind of lost a little bit of a direction or trying different things. His views were down and maybe he was trying new things, which is totally normal to do. And deviating from his normal brand a little bit, doing other things, which is fine. But his brand is Disney. So that's risky. And it seems like he is back on brand.
Yeah.
He did a video he's on a Disney cruise, which really is, I think, his strong suit. He seems to me to be the cruise guy, the Disney cruise guy. I remember when he was living in Maryland, he would go on a Disney cruise every year or twice a year. And that seemed to me where people really like to watch Michael Case. He did really good cruise videos. And so he'd been on some other cruises and all this stuff. So he's back on a Disney cruise. He's back in the parks more and not doing interviews. He was doing some weird interviews with people. Not weird, I should say, but just different for him.
It was strange.
Interviews,
there was,
just, not his typical thing.
The interviews were a little odd. And the people that he interviewed were very nice people.
Just different than what he normally does.
There was one interview he did, which was a very interesting interview, but it was done like in an office conference room, and it looked a little strange where it was at. But
it's not typical.
No,
not typical.
No, but what I noticed in the comments that people left on our show when we talked about is Michael K. lost his love of Disney. Is he burned out on Disney?
I'll link that show in this.
Yeah, he's a lot of people do not like him with a passion, and there seems to be there are a lot of people out there who really don't like the vloggers vlogging for a living, making a living out of it. And I know sometimes it seems kind of ridiculous, and it does. I'll watch I watch some vloggers, and it does seem kind of ridiculous that people can make a living going to Walt Disney World every day. I know it seems strange, but a lot of people, it really burns them that people make a living going to Disney.
I think the risks that you run when you do that is there's a few. How sustainable is that? Now the trackers have done well consistently for a long time now. They're doing well. They get lots of views. But other vloggers, you see their views, and you make the money off the views, not off your subs. You don't get money for the amount of subs you have. It's for the amount of views you get. Mm-hmm. So you could have 100,000 subs, but if you're only getting 5,000 views, 6,000 views, that might be $50, $60 a video.
Maybe.
He does have Patreons, but you run the risk of sustaining that momentum and also getting burned out, which I think happened to Michael K for a while, and that can happen to anybody. Mm-hmm. And there's not a lot happening right now at Disney like there was before the pandemic.
Things are starting to happen again, though.
Things are finally now picking up again. Exactly. But for a while, it was like, okay, yeah, we've seen this. We've done this. Everybody's, there's 20 people here for the same thing. And so it's hard to maintain that and to stand out from the crowd. It's not easy, and it's a lot of pressure if you don't have a regular job and you have to live off that. It's a lot of pressure to get the videos up, to have good content, and to keep those views coming.
Well, what happens with someone that is, and this isn't just Michael K, this is any of the vloggers who do this for a living. They live and die by their views because the views are, whatever the views are, result in how much money they earn that month.
Yeah, especially if that's their income.
And what happens with some of the vloggers who do this as a living, they have a bad couple of months on views, their income's down, and they panic and they do things. And Michael K was in panic mode, like the car show that he did, and things to try to get more people there.
Bring in other people, maybe,
But since the car show video was...
I like that video.
No, the car show video was very good. Yeah, I like the car show video. In fact, I almost went to it the next weekend, but I couldn't
I thought he did a good job.
To Orlando. But it was a very good video. But since the car show video, he seems to be back on track like he was in the old days. And I was talking earlier. I don't have any problem with Dave K. Okay, but I do prefer Michael K when he's vlogging alone.
Odd.
Dave K.
I don't watch his videos.
Dave K is a little weird,
he's a little odd,
especially when he's singing that he can't sing. And I know
he's got his fan base, but I'm not part of it.
I know there's been some controversy between the K brothers. I like Michael K a lot. I like his vlogs a lot. I think they're informative, and I like it when he's alone. I don't like it when he's with his brother. Not that his brother's a little weird. I don't have any dislike.
And you met his brother. You said he was.
His brother was a little weird. I met Michael K with his brother Dave in the Epcot parking lot, and Dave was weird.
Yeah,
Dave was weird in person. I'm sorry, Dave K, if you're listening. Maybe he's just shy.
Maybe. I don't think he's shy.
Yeah.
No.
But
I don't get that vibe at all.
But I've met a lot of the vloggers, and Michael K, all the vloggers have been nice to me, except one who's not a very well-known vlogger, and they might have just been nervous. But and it's not Dave K. I'm talking about.
I know who you're talking about.
But I'm not going to mention their name. I got to meet them a second time to give them a thing. And, but Michael K. I'm glad Michael K.'s back. He's got it, and he's got focus.
And his views are up too. So we're not just
his views are up.
We're not the only ones noticing this because his views were really kind of going down, and now his views. He did a video yesterday on the cruise, and he put it up this morning or yesterday. It's already had 10,000 views. That seems like it's back to where he should be because he's been getting lower views. And so we're not just the only ones noticing this. And the way he acts in his videos and his content, the views are going to be a direct reflection. And he has to stay close to his brand. I'm not saying he shouldn't go off and do car shows or whatever. I would like to see him do Universal. I think if he did Universal, he'd do very well. If he stuck to Universal and Disney 85% of the time, it'd be great. And I think people would like to see him at Universal.
Well, I'll tell you, when it comes, everybody has their favorite vloggers. And the problem that the full-time vloggers have, is there's so many vloggers. When something new happens, they all cover it and they're all there and you see them all and they're vlogs, and so like the Star Cruiser. Although Michael K was not invited to the Star Cruiser,
neither was PC Dev.
No, we'll talk about PC Dev in a minute, but
which is very when that
Michael
happened,
K was on a real cruise when all the other influencers were on the Star Cruiser, and that had to bug him.
I remember when we watched, because we were really curious who's going to be invited to this Star Cruiser media event. You had JoJo, Kyle, you had Jackie, super enthused, Paging Mr. Morrow.
Yeah, they were all there.
We saw all the people there who were invited, Tracker, of course. And I said to you, Michael K is not here. That's really weird. And I said to you, I feel like this upset him. You know what I mean? Because I remember when he got invited to his first media event, he was so excited.
Oh, yeah.
That's like the dream of a Disney vlogger. And he didn't get invited to this. Maybe he did, but I can't imagine he got invited and chose not to go.
No.
There's no way.
He did not get invited to the Star Cruiser.
Why? Why not? I mean, he's got over 60,000. They told me that because I called and asked, they like you on YouTube with 30,000 or more subscribers. But he has 65 around there right now.
Yeah.
Even WDW Couple was invited, and they're around the same spot as he is.
Yeah.
So, and the same amount of views. I don't know what happened, but I'm sure it bothered him.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, we talked on our last episode about the Star Cruiser vlogs, and so I don't want to get sidetracked on those, but for all the so-called Disney lovers on the Star Cruiser, remember there were the two waves. There were the 4-hour Gilligan's Island tour, and then there were the people who got to stay.
Yeah, alleyears.net, they stayed.
Yeah, and DFB got all these so-called Star Wars fanatical fans that among the influencers, there was one celebrity that I saw in the background on someone's video that no one recognized. That's a Star Wars celebrity. Now, it is not Harrison Ford or something, but it was Ashley Eckstein, who was the actress who does the voice of Ahsoka Tano. Yeah. And Ahsoka Tano, she's very well known. She has been very well known for years at Comic-Con.
She has a clothing line of her universe.
Her universe, she is very well known. And none of the so-called humongous Star Wars fan influencers recognized Ashley
Eckstein. Or had her in the video.
Or if they recognized her, she'd be in their vlog. I would have recognized her in the voice of Ahsoka Tano. I mean, So I question the sincerity of the fandom of some of the influencers that none of them recognize them. But Michael K, I think it's fair to say Michael K is back to his old self. His vlogs are spectacular.
His views are up. Yeah.
And, part of what happened to Michael K when he moved to Florida and was in his Florida residence now phase, which is kind of funny because, there's over 25 million of us who live in Florida. And it's really no big deal.
Well, it was to them.
But it was, and
it was to Michael.
To be a Florida resident.
Living in Florida is awesome. I mean, I'm sorry.
It is the best state to live in.
I'm a Florida native. It's the best state. I love it. And it gets a little hot, but it's a great place to live. It's beautiful. There's a lot to do.
But Michael and Dave K acted like they were they were like Ponce de Leon and had discovered Florida, and what had happened with
they were excited.
What happened with Michael K is he went on a Disney binge and he overdosed on Disney.
Yes.
Like a drug addict on heroin or something. And he's obviously gone through some rehab, and he's shaving and everything else again, and he's doing well.
He even admitted it. Yeah, he was like, he was breaking out, and he's just like, I'm eating really bad. I'm eating too much Disney food, and you have to pull. You can't sustain that kind of lifestyle.
So I'm glad Michael K's back. Now I just want to talk for a moment about another vlogger, PC Dev, the vlogger formerly known as Prince Charming Dev. And I don't know why he went from Prince Charming to PC Dev. Is he politically correct now?
I guess
I don't know. I like Prince Charming Dev. But anyway, shocking. I mean, the Star Cruiser, this was a shocking thing. PC Dev, Prince Charming Dev, was not invited to the media events for the Galactic Star Cruiser. And
him and Michael K, the two big guys.
Yeah, now what Michael K did, as a PC Dev and Michael K had two different reactions to being sidelined by Disney. And PC Dev has over 100,000 subscribers Okay, so he's well over the threshold, and there were people there with fewer subscribers than he has.
That's true.
Like Jackie from Super Enthused, the WDW couple, and others.
Yeah.
And what Michael
His
K.
Life of Ours.
Yeah.
They were there.
That's right, they were. What Michael K. did is he decided, well, you're not going to invite me. I know he was depressed. He went on a real cruise. Right. He went on a real cruise.
And vlogged that on Royal Caribbean.
Yeah, that's right. What Prince Charming Dev did shocked me. It shocked me. So on Friday, the Friday at 9 a.m. is when the embargo went and all the vlogs started hitting YouTube, right?
Yeah.
The next day, on Saturday, Prince Charming Dev did a home vlog with like file footage that Disney had released of the Star Cruiser, ripping it. Not only did he was ripping it for the prices, which is a fair assessment, and he was also, not by name, but as a broad brush, he defamed the vloggers, the influencers, by saying because they're getting the free thing that their reviews are biased because they're getting the free thing into the Star Cruiser.
Well, a bitter pill is hard to swallow.
I guess
and
so. I
feel if he was invited, his review would be very different. He would be just like them, praising it.
Well,
but
yeah.
Because he's doing the opposite because he's off their list. I don't know, but he wasn't invited. He was clearly pissed off. If you see his video,
he was dick.
And because he wasn't invited, he starts trashing Disney. If he was invited, he would have a different take.
And you know what? And this went on for a while because he knew he wasn't invited and a part of it long before the drop of the vlog started.
Yeah.
And he had done multiple videos leading up to this, attacking Disney over the prices.
All of a sudden, I think maybe they let him know that he's off their list, and he's like being more negative.
I don't know what happened, but I was surprised. It was very weird, and you can go on his channel, PC Dev, and check it out. I'm sure most of you have seen it, and I just thought it was pretty gutsy of him on the next day to do a vlog ripping the Star Cruiser after he wasn't invited.
If it's gutsy,
and
more like sour grapes.
Yeah, sour grapes, and being critical of the other vloggers, which he, like you said, Kathy, he'd been praising. But
I have to think if you get taken off a media list that you are put on, there's a reason. Something happened. I don't know what happened, but or it could just be very subjective, and maybe the person who is now in charge of that department has changed and they don't like PC Dev or Michael K. It's subjective. Whoever's in charge of that marketing area, they're going to invite who they want.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Obviously, there's certain criteria you have to meet. But for some reason, Michael K., PC Dev, two top Disney vloggers were not invited to that. And Michael K. didn't address it at all, which I didn't think he would. I didn't think he would. It's best not to. Which I think is the right way to handle it.
It's best not to. Now, the next big opening, of course, is going to be Guardians of the Galaxy. So we'll see, and that'll be more open to have people go to it.
Yeah.
And they'll have the annual pass holder previews and stuff. But I was very surprised. Braden from Mickey Views, I don't know if he was invited or not, but he didn't go to it. And he did. If you go to Mickey Views, which is one of the best Disney YouTube channels, these channels. Listen, we watch them all. PC Dev, Michael K. I know you might seem like we're critical of some. We watch them all, or we wouldn't be critical of. We enjoy all of them. But Mickey Views with Braden, who I've met also at the parks, who's about he's about 7'2".
He's tall
and as skinny as a broomstick. He's like I don't know how he stands up in the wind, but he's
very good. I like.
He's got a very good channel, and it's Mickey Views. I know everybody knows Mickey Views. He has so many subscribers. He didn't go to the media preview. I don't know if he was invited or not. He's not a typical. He has a lot of well over 100,000.
Oh yeah,
and he gets 6-figure views. He has videos with 500,000, 1 million views. So if he wanted to get invited to the media events, he could. I think he chooses not to, so that his reviews aren't biased. You know what I mean? He likes.
I think so too. I get that feeling from him because he's been doing Disney vlogs a long, long time. Even when he was like a teenager or a kid, we saw an old video of his putting together like a Disney Lego thing. So
he had the monorail toy that you get that they sell at the Contemporary.
Yeah, he was like 13 or something. I think he doesn't go to media events. I'm sure they would want him there. Or maybe they don't invite him because he does criticize Disney sometimes. And he is He gives a very honest assessment, and he is 90% of the time, 95% of the time, spot on with his critiques of Disney. I think he's really honest.
And Braden from Mickey Views had a very good video this week about the Galacticstar Cruiser, and he
made some good points.
He said to him, watching the videos of it, it looks like a pop-up, not like a permanent thing, even though it is. It looks like a pop-up, and he was questioning whether or not it has staying power.
I don't think it does either. I agree with him on that.
And I know some of these people on YouTube, like WDW News.
Mm-hmm.
The guy, I've forgotten the guy's name on WDW News. You know, the guy, he has the desk.
I don't know his name either.
I'd forgotten his name. I like their channel too, but he's taken true cruises on the Star Cruiser.
Yeah.
So I don't know if he's like an independently wealthy guy or something. But
must be. It's not cheap.
I don't think I would pay the money for the Star Cruiser, not because it's so expensive and I'm not rich. I mean, I could, I'm a Star Wars fan, saw Star Wars in the theater on its original run in 1977, so I'd be very excited. But I feel like I've seen it all in all the videos and the vlogs, and I'd be disappointed. But Braden made a very interesting point on Mickey Views about the experience at the Galacticstar Cruiser, and he says, we'll see how this plays out. I thought this was a very sharp analysis. He said when you look at there was a lot of interaction between the crew, the actors, the cast members, and the people that were there. He said, but they're influencers, and they want interaction for their platform, so they're going to interact a lot, and plus they're performers, and they're on camera. He said when not influencers, when just regular people are there that aren't that wanting to get a moment to show on their YouTube channel or their TikTok, when it's just regular people there, they may not be as interactive. And he's curious how their reviews will be, because it seems like you got to walk up to the captain and start a conversation, And so I thought that was interesting.
I think they marketed that hotel wrong, because it's really a new type of vacation. It's more of an interactive, fully immersive experience. And marketing it as like a Star Wars hotel is very misleading, because it's not like a traditional hotel where you go and check in and hang out and go to the parks.
And there's nothing to do there. There's no pool or anything.
Right. This is an immersive Star Wars experience. And I appreciate that, where you have direct interactions with characters all the time. Yeah. It's not like waiting in line and meeting Mickey for 2 seconds. You are having an experience with these people for 3 days, where you see them at dinner, you see them through the day, and they put on quite an I don't want to say show, but they put on an experience for you where the ship is boarded by the Empire, and they do a whole thing with Rey.
First Order.
I'm sorry, it should be the Empire, but first with Kylo Ren and Rey come on. I mean, it's really cool. They do really cool stuff. If you're a Star Wars fan, you'd love it. It's more of an immersive
But
vacation.
I've seen it for free on the vlogs.
Right. Exactly.
So I'm going to pay thousands
It's still not worth
to do it?
the money. I'm sorry.
No.
It's still not worth the money. But maybe, like Braden or somebody had said, maybe it's going to go the way of a day experience, instead of maybe as less and less people book it, which I think will eventually have. I don't think it's sustainable either. Maybe they're going to turn it into a day experience where you pay $250 a person and you go and just have the experience for the day. You know what I mean? And I think people would do that. Star Wars fans would do that.
Braden thinks it's going to go the way of the NBA experience, which folded. We'll see.
They'll make a lot of money in the meantime.
The only thing that upsets me about the Galacticstar Cruiser, it's not the price, because I don't have to go and pay it. What pisses me off about, and I don't think I'm alone with this. I think a lot of people are ticked off about this, quite frankly. A lot of what we're seeing on the Star Cruiser is what we were promised would be part of our average day inside Galaxy's Edge. The interaction, the adventure. I'm with the First Order. I'm with the Rebels.
Well, now you got to pay $5,000 to have that.
Yeah. Okay. So there's two big things that are coming up, in the future at Disney, right? Of course, Guardians of the Galaxy is the next big opening, the next major, huge opening. And
that looks like a fun ride.
Yeah, it does, and I
think that'll be super.
It does look really interesting. I don't believe that it fits at Epcot, but
no, it should be at Hollywood Studios.
It should be at Hollywood Studios.
But I guess there's no room for it. You know what I mean? There really isn't.
I think instead of putting a ride that doesn't fit in Epcot Center, I still call it Epcot Center. I think they should have added some countries to the World Showcase, and because
they need to.
the World Showcase has virtually been the same for decades now, and I know there's a couple countries that were not there during the original opening, but we just got the word today that the Mary Poppins thing is done. It's put on hold by Chapek. So that's, cheapskate, Chapek, so that's probably never going to happen.
That's too bad.
And I was looking forward to that, and I was really looking forward.
Yeah, that would have been amazing.
Yeah,
I love Mary Poppins.
I was really looking forward to some new countries in the World Showcase, which is something that is sorely missing. But I will say, they
need India there.
Yeah, India would be great.
And Australia.
Australia would be great.
Yeah.
There was some talk of adding Brazil, which would be cool because they'd have the Brazil festival going on all the time and all that. I'd like that.
I don't think there's much you can do. I mean, you could have but where would you have a festival?
Well, there's a lot of Brazilians.
There are.
That
I think India is better.
There's a lot of Brazilians at Disney World. In fact, if you see the Brazilian tour groups all the time because the colors, But that didn't happen. But so the two big openings, we got Guardians of the Galaxy, and now Tron is they've just gotten by what they refer to as their first stage. So the ride now works. They're in the testing phase now. So now when you go to the park, you're going to start to see the trains without people running around all the time.
Oh, that is going to be a crazy, crazy
ride. And there was a pretty good video of it. It looks just like the one in China.
And I think that is a good fit for Tomorrowland.
Well, Tomorrowland
theme-wise.
I'm a little concerned about Tron. I was talking to Kathy about this, and here's the thing. Everyone complains about the crowds. There's no longer a slow period at Walt Disney World here in Florida. There used to be periods.
Yeah, it's true.
When there were low crowds. There are no longer low crowd periods.
Those don't exist anymore. They really don't.
I went to Magic Kingdom on the first day it reopened after the COVID lockdowns, and there were just a few hundred of us in the park, and it was very strange and there were no kids. And you could hear things you never heard before, and it was
really too bad because
it was amazing.
And it's funny because Braden even said on one of his recent videos, he said the holidays are less busy. That's how bad it is. He said if you want to come during a downtime, come during the holidays because people assume they're the busiest, so they don't book as much. Well, that's becoming the new downtime.
Well, here's the thing about Tron, though, and I'm very concerned about this. The parks are very busy. Galaxy's Edge has Hollywood Studios very busy, but Magic Kingdom is always busy, very difficult to move around in.
Oh, yeah.
And I am really concerned about Tron. I don't know that Magic Kingdom can handle the Tron level crowds because, Tron is going to be as big and as popular as Rise of the Resistance.
I think so.
And I did a whole vlog.
I think it's going to be so popular because there's no other ride like it.
Yeah,
there's no other ride like it.
I did a vlog a couple weeks ago. I went to Hollywood Studios to ride Rise of the Resistance. I got the pass that you pay for, the Disney Genie, and it was all booked up. I couldn't get on it. And I left and went to Epcot. It was hours wait.
You have tried you've only been on that ride once.
When it first opened.
On opening day. You and Emily went up at 4 a.m. You stayed the night. Went to the park at 4 a.m. You have tried about 6 or 7 times since, and you still have not been able to get on that ride.
No, I could wait for 3 hours,
right?
And I just
you have to wait.
But it's a mess. And Tron is going to be the same way. It's going to be very bad. And Magic Kingdom is so crowded now you can hardly move. And a few years ago they axed this plan, but they were going to build a second Main Street behind the confectionery. There's a backstage area. Yeah. They were going to have a second Main Street to help with the crowds.
That would be good.
And they were going to have a theater there that held 1,500 to 2,000 people to help take people off the streets, and everything. And you can barely get through there now. When you bring in the biggest, best, hottest ride, and it's kind of like in the back to the side over there in Tomorrowland, Tron, and the crowds are there for it, Magic Kingdom is going to become it's going to become so busy. They're going to reach capacity on a regular basis, I believe.
Yeah, I think it's a problem.
You're not going to be able to get in.
They need a second entrance and exit like Epcot has because you have one way in, one way out. And it's the same at Hollywood Studios, too. But Hollywood Studios, for some reason, doesn't seems to be a little easier to get around in. Magic Kingdom's smaller, I think, and getting in and leaving are difficult. But you're right, that whole area by Tomorrowland's big, though. There's a lot of space there.
A lot of unused space.
So there's going to be a space for people to wait. and they'll have an area for them to go to. But, it is going to be interesting to see. I just wish, and I know this will never happen, I just wish they not let as many people into the park. I mean, I wish they would not be even close to capacity or start doing more special days or late hours or early morning hours. They were doing all that before the pandemic, and then they stopped. And that seemed to help ease the afternoon crowds a little bit, like open at 6 in the morning or stay open some nights till 2 o'clock in the morning. I hope they get back to doing that.
Well, what I've tried a couple times
to help.
There used to be a trick that was pretty effective, and it no longer works. A lot of people, because they've got young kids, they get there, at Robe Tromp, and then around lunchtime they leave, and and the crowd would lessen a little bit. Around the lunchtime hour, they got to go back to sleep. They're tired. They got the kids, and that's not effective right now. Usually though at the best time, usually in the past, to go on rides is late at night, right before closing during the fireworks.
Yes.
And also,
nighttime is a good time.
Nighttime fireworks and during the big parades, which are starting to come back now. But I think that when TRON opens, Magic Kingdom is going to be so busy. If they keep this reservation system, you're not going to be able to get reservations. I think we're going to be locked out of Magic Kingdom. It's going to be so crowded. Mm-hmm. I think the park is going to reach capacity every day for a long time.
Too. Very early. They might reach capacity by 12 o'clock.
I think that Magic Kingdom is going to be something that's almost like it's a fantasy to go to because of you're not going to be able to get a reservation.
Because
of TRON.
I think you could be right. It's going to be very difficult. And now the way it is, you have to get up very, very early, make your reservations. It wasn't like this in the past. You could come and go. It was very laid back, much more casual. You could go at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, and still know I'm going to get on a lot of rides today and probably some of the top rides. Now it's going to be like, I got to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning, get online, make my reservations, get my family out the door, get into the parks. It's rush, rush, rush. And if you like a vacation like that where it takes a lot of planning and it's busy, 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 then you love it. But I think you're right. When TRON opens, I think they're going to reach capacity very early in the day, and it's going to be crazy.
This Disney Genie thing sucks. I used it for the first time 2 weeks ago at Hollywood Studios. I got it. It was $15. The only thing I could get on with it was the Indiana Jones stunt show. I mean, give me a break.
Yeah, that's crazy. You
give
bought
me a break.
I know you bought the Genie Plus, which is like the Fast Pass system, right? It gives you access to the Fast Pass system, and you bought it, and they didn't even tell you. And after you bought it, you said, I can't even use it on anything.
What happened was it told me what was available before I bought it.
Okay.
And I've never used the Disney Genie, so I had to read up on the app
so
how to use it.
tell you before.
Well, by the time I got it and opened it up and figured out how to use it, a lot of the things changed. It changed.
Yeah, that's a problem.
And it changed on a dime.
Now, I wonder if you could get your money back on that. I know you didn't do that, but I wonder if somebody could say, look, everything's closed now.
And it's $15, and I was aggravated. I just went to Epcot. I said, screw it, and I went to Epcot, and I rode Remy's Ratatouille, which I thought was pretty cool.
Yeah. It's hard to gauge those things. I know we did when we watched the video. We said, it doesn't look so great, but it is true. You will need to see these things in person because you have the smells and
you know what I liked that they did,
the feeling, and it's different.
What I liked about the New France area,
it looks pretty,
is that it's really cool and everything, but it matches the rest of France. It doesn't look like. It doesn't look like France was built in 1982 and then this was built in 2022. Right. It looks like they were built and opened at the same time. They match.
I have to say the countries have maintained they have consistently stayed. They're not dated. You know what I mean? They were built like some of them 40 years ago.
Well, the land is a little dated. The land is a little dated. In there, the land.
No, I'm saying the countries. The countries.
Oh, you mean the countries?
The countries have staying power. They look just as good now. They're just as relevant now. Except Canada. I don't get Canada. My mom's Canadian, and she doesn't even get it either. Maybe there's parts of Canada, but anyway. But I think the countries have maintained their relevance and do not look dated like Future World had to be updated. We want to talk about the gas prices. And we wanted to ask you guys if the gas prices, which are going up and up, have affected your travel plans. Are you canceling trips? Are you not booking trips? Now, this could affect the crowds at Disney. I don't know. We'll see. Maybe the crowds will be less because airline tickets are going to start going up. And some parts of the country, like California, gas is almost $7 a gallon.
Well, and
it's
here,
almost $5 a gallon in Florida.
Here in Florida, regular unleaded is well over $4 right now.
Yeah,
Super unleaded is over $5.
Yeah.
And I am going to go up to Disney. Disney again. We live in South Florida. It's a 2.5 hour, 3 hour drive depending on traffic from our house. But in a couple of weeks, I'm going to go up and see if the crowds are affected because the gas prices are so high. I cannot. I would think that some people will say, you know what, it's too expensive. But a lot of people may say, well, the gas prices are so high, the crowds will be lower. Let's pay the extra money for gas and let's go. I don't understand why Disney is more crowded now than it was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s, and even early 2000s. Because Kathy and I have talked about this on this program before. A lot of you don't remember because you're not as old as we are. But Disney on a regular basis used to close at 7 o'clock at night. People forget about this. And it was still light out because there just weren't that many crowds. Now, I do remember, I was a little kid. I remember when Space Mountain was new, okay? First time I went on Space Mountain was it was open a year, maybe a little less than a year, and it was as popular as Rise of the Resistance is now. And it was hard for people to believe. And we didn't even know what fast passes were, and you had to wait in line. And it wasn't unusual to wait in line 2.5 hours for Space Mountain back then. We didn't have fast pass system or anything, but you could, I've done this. You could go to the park on a Saturday or a Sunday, and you could ride everything in the park. You could do it. And
it was much less crowded. I think
even in the late 90s and early 2000s.
I think the reason it's more crowded now is you have a lot more movies and characters that kids want to see and be a part of. You have a lot more, back then we only had a handful of characters that we would go see. You'd have Mickey and the main 6 characters, and then you'd have Cinderella. Now there's like dozens and dozens, Marvel and everything, and more princesses. There's Pixar. There's a lot. They have more lands.
Well,
they have more parks.
What? Another part of it is,
Disney was not very expensive, even relatively. It was
not even adjusted for inflation.
It was very affordable. But people keep going.
One of the reasons, all that's true. One of the reasons I think there are no longer slow times and it's busy, is back in those days, back in the olden days of Disney World in Orlando, Florida.
The good old days.
They didn't have all the hotels there. They had
That's true.
The Contemporary and the Polynesian.
Right.
That was it. And then eventually some others started to open
there were
up.
hotels on International Drive. There were Best Westerns and not affiliated with Disney.
But the way it used to work, okay?
There were a lot of hotels like that.
Because now, we've got Magic Kingdom, we've got Epcot, we've got Animal Kingdom, and we've got, it used to be MGM Studios, but Hollywood Studios, okay? When there was just Magic Kingdom, people would go to Disney just for one day. They would stay in Kissimmee. They'd go to Disney World for one day, and then they would go to SeaWorld, or they'd go to Busch Gardens, or they'd go to there was a place called Circus World. Remember Circus World or something like that?
Well, because they weren't staying on property. They were staying...
And there was only one gate.
Right. They were staying on International Drive with the chain hotels, and they would go, and there were a lot of attractions like there are today. You have Madame Tussauds. There were attractions like now outside of Disney, and you're right. People would go to Disney just for one day, and then they go to the other attractions in town. They stay on property they don't leave. And I think that's true.
And that really didn't happen until MGM opened up, because when Epcot opened up, people would stay longer, but it became a 2 or 3 day event. This whole thing now, where people go for a week or 10 days, is relatively new because the hotel. And
that's how Disney wants it. They don't want you to leave.
Yeah, and I believe me, I stayed many a time in Kissimmee. And I didn't stay on.
Oh, that's what we used to do.
I didn't stay on Disney property until the 90s.
Yeah, they did not have all the hotels. In fact, we went to Disney on our honeymoon. We didn't even stay on property. They did not have.
No, we didn't.
All the hotels they have now. They had originally just the 2, and they were very expensive. We stayed when I was a kid at the Polynesian once for like 5 days with my family. And this was in the 70s, like 78, 79. And that was really cool. But you didn't stay those hotels. That was like, very expensive, and that was going above the norm. Most people stayed at a Holiday Inn or something on off property. You didn't have all the choices you have now.
There were a lot of attractions around that are mostly gone. I know there's still some thing like the Orlando Eye. No, there were a lot of old attractions that people used to go to that are gone. But the thing
people would do those. They would do those.
The thing about the hotels on Disney property though are what really has changed. But they made a big mistake. Disney and Universal has this. Universal is doing something which is absolutely amazing, right? They have off-site hotels because they have limited space, but now they've got the second. Well, I guess it's the third park because they count Universal Islands of Adventure or two.
Right.
But they've got this epic park that they're doing that's off-site somewhere else, and Disney owned all that area that they turn in the Celebration that they had to use the land up, and they really should have put hotels there. Or maybe even another gate instead of keeping everything on Disney property. But I think the hotels are the biggest factor as to why the crowds are so high.
We didn't have that there. That was new. That
not
came
in its
along.
current form. But
but that didn't come. That wasn't around in the 70s and early 80s.
No,
that came around
later.
Later on, like
with the Pleasure Island days.
Yeah, Pleasure Island first. You had Downtown Disney.
Well, the way it worked, because a lot of you guys don't, remember these days, but the Downtown Disney area, back in the Pleasure Island area, that was an area that really was mostly for locals, not for the people that went and stayed at the parks. And that's why they kind of got rid of Pleasure Island. But anyway, the crowds, I don't think the gas prices are going to hit the crowds because people are going to say, let's eat the price. Let's go. Maybe it'll be less crowded.
It seems no matter what, no matter how much they charge, no matter what they do, people just are more and more people are going to tell us why. I'm curious to know why you think. A lot of people complain about Bob Chapek. A lot of people complain about the parks. A lot of people are unhappy with their experience. I see people that have gone to Disney and they post things online. What a waste of money. Why are the parks still so crowded? Why has that not affected Disney World parks at all? This is a lot of this negative feedback. I'm curious what you guys think.
I want to ask a couple questions here at the end that you guys can answer in the comments if you don't mind, okay? And the first question involves what we started the show about, which was Michael K. Mm-hmm. One of the comments that was a regular comment from the Michael K haters, because there's a lot of I was really taken aback at how divided people are on Michael K, because I didn't think Michael K was controversial. I didn't, but he's a very divisive person. Not
meaning to be. He just
I don't know why. But one of the biggest gripes people have, the biggest things they do with Michael K, is there seems to be an obsession with his house. Yeah. People seem to think that he lives in a mansion or has a big house
There's a lot
somewhere
of rumors
else.
online.
And I don't know. I've seen him do the home vlogs. It looks like a tiny little cheapo apartment
He
to
doesn't
me.
do those anymore, though.
And he had these stuffed animals over the cabinets in the kitchen, which is a little weird, Michael K.
Well, that's when his brother was there.
Hopefully Dave K took them with him.
But he's not doing that. You don't know where he is now.
But I would like to know not what you don't like about Michael K. Okay, because I saw all that. But why do people care where he lives or what type of house he lives in?
I don't know.
I mean, if he lived in Golden Oaks, so what? I mean, who cares? I don't understand. This. I know we've talked about the trackers with the $2,000 sweater of Tim's, but the reason we did that is because, the sweater gate with the trackers.
That was just all in fun.
No, well, the reason we did that is because the trackers went to that Gucci store and they, oh, no, it's too much money, too much. There's no way. We're not going to spend this money on a sweater. And then they cut and they're at home in the kitchen. He's wearing the sweater. And it was just so bizarre. That's why we talked about it.
I think Tim, not so much Jen, I think Tim has a hard time with his newfound wealth sometimes. And there's a little guilt, which there shouldn't be. But I think she has zero problem spending money. But I think like most women. But I think maybe he was really reluctant, and she, anyway, and he got it. And that video was video's had almost 300,000, the most views out of any of our videos.
Yeah.
And people, some attacked us, some attacked them. That's okay. We don't care. But, he could buy what he wants, obviously. But it was something worth talking about because everybody was talking about. Obviously, it's had 300,000 views, so it was a good topic. The trackers are always a good topic to talk about, but People have opinions. They about these things. Some people felt that they're not relatable anymore. Some people felt, hey, the guy makes a good living. Let him buy whatever the hell he wants. I don't know how much traction he's gotten out of that sweater,
this
but
is the thing. Okay,
he seemed to be happy with it.
There are many YouTubers, not Disney vloggers, who are like millionaires from YouTube. Who's the guy that boxes? Aaron Paul? Is it Aaron Paul?
Logan Paul?
Logan Paul. Aaron Paul's the actor who played Highlander in the TV series. But
I love
Logan
him.
Paul is one of many YouTubers that live in a mansion. They got all this YouTube money. They're millionaires.
Beast makes a lot of money.
Mr. Beast gives millions of dollars away, just throws it out.
He's got money to burn.
And nobody's and Mr. Beast's Squid Game video was just amazing. He's giving money everywhere.
It was amazing.
No, I don't hear anyone griping about the wealth of Logan Paul or Mr. Beast. Why do people care that the trackers have done well and that Michael K may live in a big house? I don't know that he does or not. Why do people care about that? I think the thing about the trackers, I think the trackers, I know a lot of people don't like them. I like the trackers. I think it's amazing. If you go back and watch their early videos, Tim in particular, they had no money. I told you that time he couldn't afford to spend $80 on that hops thing to make homemade beer. Like he couldn't afford beer, so he was going to make it at home.
Exactly. I'm just thinking he couldn't even afford beer.
He was going to make his beer at home, and he couldn't. He went to this place in a very bad neighborhood where the air conditioning was chained to the building, and it was $80, and he couldn't afford to buy the machine.
He's come a long way,
and now he's buying $2,000 sweaters, and he's got a Tesla
and a nanny.
A full-time nanny. I mean,
he's living the dream.
I mean, if you can do that, going to Walt Disney World like twice a week,
the American dream.
That's God bless him. I mean, I can't do that. Yeah. So why? So what I'm asking you is, why does anyone care if they are making a good living vlogging? Like, one last thing, I'll say this: Nate, Pagey Mr. Morrow, okay. He was living in his car, basically.
He's amazing.
He came back. He left Florida when his marriage fell apart.
Yeah, him and Veronica.
And he came back. He was working at Denny's, and it was like a really long drive. He was sleeping in his car.
Yeah.
And then something happened, and his channel blew up. He's got over 100,000 subs. He's making money.
Oh, yeah.
He's doing really well.
He's doing really well.
He did this TED Talks video on his channel a few months ago, which you guys should go and look, where he revealed about living in the car and everything.
I think that's what helped him. I think I think when vloggers let down their guard and open up and share personal things, I think people, and I think Michael K would serve him well. I think part of the problem with Michael K is he has a lot of walls up, and he doesn't let people, because he doesn't reveal anything about himself personally. People make guesses and they make observations, and there's a lot of rumors. But with somebody like Nate, where they put it all out there and they really discuss their personal, he got really personal. There's no room for guessing because he lays it all out there himself. Yeah. And I think it would serve Michael K well to not be so guarded and be open up a little more. Nobody knows really anything about his personal life, so there's a lot of rumors out there about him. And maybe if he opened up a little bit more about his personal life, because then people start to think, well, something's wrong with this guy. People get like a weird vibe. Nate opens up more. PC Dev gets personal sometimes. I think it serves you well as a vlogger, especially if you do it full time, to open up a little bit and let your guard down and let people have a little peek into just a little bit.
One thing I don't like, is
Nate really laid it all out on the table.
And some vloggers do this way too much when they'll do the vlog of answering questions about me, and they do the
Dave
25
did that
things.
like twice a week.
Yeah, and Jackie from Super Enthused. I like Jackie from Super Enthused. I do, and I've met her before, and she's totally cool and everything else. But she's done that a few times too. I don't really. I think it's better. The thing with Nate was different because he did like this whole confessional where he was like, he was basically homeless.
Yeah, it was amazing.
In Orlando.
After that, his channel really blew up.
And what it wasn't like a 25 questions thing. it was sharing how grateful he is
Yes.
to all of the viewers
Yeah.
of his channel, how they pulled him from sleeping
Yeah.
in the car and
Yeah.
working at Denny's.
It was heartwarming.
To this, and I thought it was an amazing story. It's not like the self-serving questions that people do
Right.
when they go through the list and so that they can brag about something.
Yeah, I don't like that either. Those
Yeah.
are not my kind of videos.
Yeah. So anyway, that's it, and
It's a good show, I think.
yeah,
we covered a lot of topics.
We covered a lot, and
we always appreciate your feedback. And and you.
I read the comments.
I
read the comments.
We appreciate it all, whether it's good or bad. That's okay. We can handle it. Anyway, guys, any last words did you want to say?
The last words is we'll talk to you next time.
We'll talk to you next time, everybody.